In 2005, a click changed everything. Not the click of a keyboard, the click of a shutter hidden inside a phone. The world in 2004 was a world of flip phones, grey screens, and pixelated dreams. If your phone had a camera at all, the photos looked like they'd been taken through a fogged window. VGA resolution, blurred, forgettable. Nokia ruled the world. Its phones were everywhere, its dominance nearly absolute. But across the world, Sony had spent decades mastering something Nokia never had: the art of capturing light. And Ericsson had spent a century mastering something else: the invisible art of connecting people across distance. In 2001, these two companies merged their strengths into one venture, Sony Ericsson, a quiet bet that photography and communication were about to become the same device. Deep inside the company's design studios, a new project was given a name, Clara, its ambition to put a real camera inside a real phone. It began, as it always does, with a pencil, sketches of a simple rectangle, a candy bar shape that could hide a secret on its back. The team looked at their own K700, a good phone, but a camera with the imagination of a toy. They wanted more. Foam models were cut and held in hand, again and again, chasing a feeling. This should feel like a camera, not a computer. The answer was a dual front body, a phone's face on one side, a camera's back on the other. Two identities, one object. At the heart of the redesign sat a decision that would define the phone: which sensor to use.
We are ready for the next phase.
Engineers chose a 13.2-inch CMOS sensor with unusually large 2.8 micron pixels. Tiny by today's standards, but generous for its time, built to gather more light per pixel. More ambitious still was the optics behind it. A true autofocus system, something almost no phone in the world had attempted. A miniature motor, barely larger than a grain of rice, was engineered to shift the lens back and forth, hunting for focus the way a real camera would. Above the lens, a sliding cover was designed. Slide it open, and the phone would wake into camera mode automatically, mechanically, satisfyingly. The shutter button itself was engineered in two stages: a half press to lock focus, a full press to capture, borrowed directly from the language of real cameras. A 1.8-inch TFT display was chosen to show it all, 176 by 220 pixels, modest today, vivid in 2005. Around that screen, a Java-based interface was built. An activity menu, a Walkman-style media player, and shortcuts meant to feel instant under a thumb. Storage came from Sony's own memory stick Duo format. Proprietary, sometimes frustrating, but generous enough to hold hundreds of photos on the bundled 64-megabyte card. And instead of a standard headphone jack, Sony Ericsson chose its own fast port connector, a decision built for ecosystem loyalty as much as engineering elegance. Before it could reach a single pocket, this design had to survive something far less romantic than a sketchbook, a factory floor. It's important to say plainly, the exact production line for the K750i was never fully documented in public record. What follows is a careful reconstruction, built from standard mobile manufacturing practice of the era, not verified factory footage. The story likely began with bare green circuit boards, cut and etched with the copper pathways that would carry every signal in the phone. Solder paste was printed onto each board through a precision stencil, a delicate map of thousands of contact points, each one smaller than a grain of rice. Pick-and-place machines then worked at blinding speed, lifting resistors, capacitors, and processors from reels and setting them onto the board with sub-millimeter accuracy. The populated boards passed through a reflow oven, heated in careful stages until the solder melted and locked every component permanently into place. Automated optical inspection cameras scanned each board for invisible flaws. A bridge of solder, A missing chip, a fraction of a millimeter error that human eyes could never catch fast enough. Separately, on its own line, the camera module was born. Lens, sensor and autofocus motor assembled in a clean room where a single speck of dust could ruin an image forever. Technicians, likely working under microscopes, calibrated each autofocus assembly by hand, tuning it until the lens found sharp focus reliably every time. Meanwhile, molten polycarbonate was injected into steel molds, cooling in seconds into the exact curved shell that would become the phone's dual front body. Those shells moved through finishing stations, coated in oxidized black or blasted silver, each color chosen not just for beauty, but for how it would age against a decade of pockets and palms. On the final assembly line, human hands and machines worked together. Chassis, board, screen, and camera module united into a single object for the first time. Each unit was flashed with firmware, the operating instructions that would give this hardware its personality, its menus, its voice. Quality control technicians tested the things a spec sheet could never capture. The satisfying click of the shutter cover, the precise resistance of the two-stage button. Finally, each phone was boxed with its bundled memory stick duo card, ready to leave the factory and enter the world. From ports around the world, container ships carried millions of these small rectangles toward pockets on every continent. In June 2005, the Sony Ericsson K750 was formally introduced to the world, the international version soon known everywhere as the K750i. For the people who bought it, the experience was almost startling. This wasn't a phone with a camera attached. This felt for the first time like a real camera that happened to make calls. Compared to the blurry VGA shots of its rivals, the K750i's 2-megapixel photos were sharp enough to actually print, a quiet revolution measured in pixels. Suddenly ordinary moments, a party, a concert, a joke between friends, could be captured instantly and shared, without ever reaching for a separate camera. The numbers told their own story. Roughly 15 million units sold within its first 2 years, a genuine phenomenon in the mobile industry. That same year, Sony Ericsson released a sibling built on identical hardware, the W800i, wrapped in Walkman orange, proving how far this single platform could stretch. For a brief, brilliant window, Sony Ericsson stood shoulder to shoulder with Nokia, a golden age built on cameras, not just calls. But history rarely lets any king reign forever. In 2007, a new kind of phone was announced, one that would eventually make dedicated camera phones feel like ancient history. Today, the K750i survives mostly in drawers, museums, and the hands of collectors who remember exactly how it felt to slide that cover open. Held next to a modern smartphone sensor, its 2 megapixels look almost quaint. And yet, in its own moment, it was nothing short of astonishing. Because before smartphones, before app stores, before the best camera is the one you have with you, became a cliché. One small candy bar phone proved that idea true for millions of people first. The Sony Ericsson K750i didn't just take pictures. For a few golden years, it changed what a phone was allowed to be.